Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let's call the City Council meeting for Monday, May 26, 2025 to order. May I have a motion on the minutes? Moved and seconded. Councillor Day, I think there was a slight change to one of the minutes. I think we can do that by
Yeah, just
consent.
the number one, the council meeting on May 12th, I submitted a information sheet, and it didn't get in the minutes, so I just wanted to make sure that was added.
Okay, so the clerk can, Madam Clerk can take note of that. So all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Any agenda additions or deletions?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have one addition to the agenda, and that is committee minutes. They're provided on table. They'll be number 6.5, and these are the minutes of the May 23rd special open GP meeting.
Okay, special GP. Okay, so we're starting off the proceedings with a presentation. We'll call forward Katie Fenn, Chief Executive Officer for BC Recreation and Parks Association, to present a very fine award. Madam?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to present you with the award this year for 2025 of the Parks Excellence Award from the BC Recreation and Parks Association for the Minaroo Parks Lake District Renewal. With any award, I like to tell you all the good things you already know about your community and let you hear them from somebody else. So the Renewed Lakes District combines the preservation of beloved features with bold improvements of sustainable, accessible, and community wellness. Highlights include restoration of 2 lakes through an innovative rainwater-fed system, a comprehensive habitat renewal plan, and revitalized pathways and plazas, expanded access features, and increased tree canopy that increases the park's climate resilience. This project was shaped by multilingual consultation, and the Lakes District provides a dynamic, peaceful urban oasis. I had the chance to take a peek just before this meeting tonight, and it is absolutely that. It's a complete refuge and very well placed within the community for folks who do need access to green space and refuge for their well-being. So kudos to you for your forward thinking and also thinking about sustainability and renewal in the process, as well as multilingual consultation. Thank you all so much for your work and representing all the good work that happens in Richmond and having folks in BC be inspired by it. Congratulations on your award.
Well, thank you very much. I'll come around in just 1 minute and accept this, but I'll just add to your remarks by saying that the Minaroo Park, the area around the lakes in the north end, that is a very special area here in the city of Richmond, and the staff and others have worked very hard for a number of years getting it to where it is today. And so it's something that everybody in Richmond can be proud of. And of course, it's of great benefit to all the people of our city.
Great, congratulations. Right in the middle there.
Katie, sir.
Right, yeah.
Perfect. That's good. That's lovely. There we go. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. Wow. And I'll come this way. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, may I have a motion to resolve it in a committee of the whole to hear delegations on items on the agenda? All those in favor, post carried. Is there anybody here from the public who wishes to speak to us on items on the agenda? I'm looking out, I'm seeing mostly staff here, but anyway.
Horizon report.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Brings us to our consent agenda. We have the receipt of committee minutes, the Touchstone Family Association Restorative Justice Contract Renewal for 2026 to 2028, and the Annual Performance Outcome Evaluation Report. We have the endorsement of the UBCM resolutions for soil and other material tracking resolution, and also ALC compliance and enforcement ticketing resolution. Then we have the early council review process for the OCP amendment and rezoning application at 13-131, 111, and 031, as well as 12-931 and 12-771 Number 2 Road. We also have a housing agreement, market rental housing, to permit the City of Richmond to secure market rental units at 3420 Catchison Court, the appointment of an approving officer, and the traffic calming measures along 6th Avenue. May I have a motion to adopt those by general consent? Moved and seconded. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to speak on one item. I will be supporting everything on the consent agenda. I'd like to speak about the endorsement of UBCM resolutions, soil and other material tracking resolution, and ALC compliance and enforcement ticketing resolution. This is about when farmers bring soil onto their land. And the City of Richmond has done a lot over the years to try and make sure that people are only bringing clean fill onto their land and soil that's going to be useful and enhance the soil that's there. We also have a plan in our dike master plan that the farms will take on more soil over the years, because as we raise our dikes, we have to take on soil inside the dikes, otherwise we just end up with a bowl of water. So this has been a long-standing plan of ours. What we want to do is make sure that the soil that's coming in is good soil, it's coming from good reputable sources, and that it doesn't have garbage and junk and everything else in it, and that it actually supports farming. We have a Richmond-based company that's developed an app here that they use successfully for their own soil that they brought into their farm. And we saw the success of this as a city, and we think that the province needs to standardize this so that everyone's on a level playing field, so that everyone knows where their soil is, and so that when people are being paid to take fill, they're being paid appropriately. So if someone's taking dirty fill, they're not putting it on agricultural land, and they're putting it somewhere appropriate, and then they're getting paid appropriately for it. And that we ensure that good soil gets brought onto agricultural land across BC. I think it's important for every one of us that it's good soil going onto our agricultural land in BC. I'll be at UBCM and I'll be bringing this, speaking to it when it comes up, so to help ensure that this passes, because we think this is really important, and we really think that the technology is there and we should be using it. Ontario is using the same technology, and I think it's important that we use it as well.
Okay, Councillor Heed.
Just a couple items I want to talk on, and one that is very dear and near to my heart is the funding for Touchstone on the restorative justice. And I can't be any more supportive than I am of this. And I was dumbfounded, and I'll use that word again, to believe that we are the ones funding this, that the province is not funding this. This is under their purview based on the legislative procedures that we have here. The whole administration of justice should be under their purview. And certainly at one point, when this was first discussed decades ago, and it first started when Ujjwal Dosanjh was the Attorney General, and then several other successive Attorney Generals that discussed this new concept of how we deal with victim offenders when we're dealing with whether it's a young offender or it's some minor issue that can be dealt with through bringing the victim and offender together and discussing the impact that it has had on the victim, and the offender explaining why he or she may have done this in the apology. But, regardless, I just cannot believe that we're having to fund this for them to operate in our city at the local level. And in committee, I certainly am one to bring forward, and I don't know if that was recognized or not, that we send a letter to the province, to the Attorney General, certainly requesting that they actively get involved in providing funding for that. The second item, I just want to make a brief comment, and basically I really want to thank staff for dealing with this, and our general manager of Public Works, and that's how we deal with some of the traffic calming measures along 6th Avenue, and some things that are within his authority to do. Recognizing the need for us to try something different there based on not only the complaints, but one fella that was struck and killed, one of our employees' sons in that, or not killed, sorry. Thank God was not killed, but injured seriously. And for our staff to recognize this and immediately take it. You've heard me comment a lot about customer service, and I just want to tell you that our general manager, Roland Swag, certainly understands that, and I'm very pleased with the service that he's providing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Of course, the irony of the whole situation on restorative justice is that the province talks about how much they are in favor of it, but don't answer the second question, as you have alluded to. I've got Councillor Au, who is here virtually, and then we'll go to Councillor Galanders. Councillor Au.
Yes, Your Worship, I will be supporting everything on the consent agenda, but I also want to comment on the restorative justice program. And now, in the motion, it's recommended that we are going to write a letter advocating for more funding for the program. But I remember that we've been writing this kind of letter year after year. And what kind of response do we expect? I don't think that sending them another letter this year would bring a different result. So that's why during the discussion in the committee meeting, I proposed that perhaps we have to begin to ask for a refund from the provincial government. And I understand that in the last 10 years, we've already spent $1 million on this program. So I think we have to begin to take some action. And, if a motion is necessary, I would like to move that we, in our letter, would ask the provincial government to refund the money that we paid for the program in the last 10 years, which is roughly $1 million. So I just want to have some action, more than just by sending a letter and knowing that it will be ignored.
May I suggest in that vein, we could simply, it's probably by consent, if you look to number 7, the touchstone resolution, number 4 is copy of the staff report and letter advocating for more funding for the program be sent to local members of the Legislative Assembly and the Attorney General. Why don't we just simply add, or in the alternative, that funds expended in the last 10 years on restorative justice by the city be paid by the provincial government to the city. Would that work for you?
Yes, I think at least we have to do that. Okay. Actually, I would like to have more action, but I think this is the beginning. At least we should give them a number figure, and asking for a positive response as well.
Well, that would be in the letter.
Yep.
We could break down the cost. Is that by general consent? Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so we'll consider that part of number 7. We've got Councillor Galanders.
Thank you. And good comments from everybody on the restorative justice. I also agree with Councillor Liu on the UBCM resolution, soil and other material tracking resolution. There's a second part to that resolution, is the ALC compliance and enforcement ticketing resolution. So currently only the chair of the ALC can issue fines when people do illegal filling. And so this resolution coming forward is to allow individual ALC enforcement officers to ticket people who are offending on site. And so we've been really looking for the ALC to step up their ability to monitor sites that are being illegally dumped on. That's been a long time coming. So hopefully this one will also be supported at UBCM. And I just want to mention one other item is the early council review process, official community plan amendment and rezoning application at 5 properties on Number 2 Road. And what this is there's a property that's industrial that is looking out over the marina, and it was going to build a storage facility, and it is looking to rezone to be able to do a mixed-use development. And what this is here is an early council review process, which was something that Councillor Day, I believe, brought forward last year, and this is one of the first ones that we've had where if there's going to be a large OCP amendment, that council gets a chance to review what the proposed development would be and give some feedback. And this one generated some concern regarding the height, 2-story commercial, 6-story buildings, which are larger than all the other buildings in the vicinity. And so the developer will get this feedback from our staff, and they'll, potentially tweak their application. And this would prevent when a developer's gone so far down the line that they bring us their final plan and then, council doesn't support it, rather than having to go back to the drawing board after all the work's been done, that we get an early look at it. And it was a really great thing that we brought in, and this is one of the first ones. So apparently we'd had quite a good discussion about this project last week at Planning Committee, and there was a lot of feedback that's going to be going back to the developer through staff. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. With respect, I'm not sure that we would attribute this change in procedure and concept to one particular councillor. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much. Number 7 is the touchstone restorative justice. When we add Councillor Au's suggestion, may I suggest that we do a rough calculation of the money that was saved by the province, having not going to court for those I think last year it was 20 offenders that we dealt with in restorative justice. I mean, the court system doesn't come cheap, and lawyers don't come cheap. And so if we could do a rough calculation of how much money we've saved the province, it could be they'd be more amicable to coughing up some more money for that program.
Well, don't forget, the province isn't paying the legal fees. So
No, but
frankly, I think that if we can get the amounts that we have put out of pocket in the last 10 years, I think that will be plenty enough to get a negative response from the province, frankly.
But I mean, we can justify it by saying, look how much money we've saved you.
Well, that's fair enough.
Okay, and then number 8 is the UBC soil material tracking. So Richmond has been the toughest of almost every community in Metro Vancouver on requiring documentation of where the dirt is coming from and where it's going so that we can better track it. I've always been concerned about dumping on farmland when the owner is getting tipping fees. Why are they getting paid to get rid of that dirt? It just set off alarm bells in my head. So being tough on them was something we were forced to do because of horrendous dumping that happened on farmland that basically ruined the farmland. So the tracking system that's now available, that wasn't available 10 years ago, can really come in handy. And I believe that hopefully we'll be successful in getting UBCM to support it, and then we can get the province on board. It's also going to save everybody a lot of time and money if we have this system in place. Number 9, the early council review process for the lots at the end of Number 2 Road, or the smell test as I like to call it. Sometimes developers will come to us when everything's finished, and then we go, no, we think you should change A, B, and C. Well, that's a big delay in the project and a big cost to the developer. So I'm really pleased that this has come to council for the very first one that's come to us. And so we looked at what's great about it. Well, pros are 10% lemur is required. They're doing 17%. A 15-meter ESA area, which apparently we might be able to put a boardwalk on and allow the public to have access to it. There's going to be a new road from Number 2 Road to Dyke Road, which will be so much better than the dog leg that goes around the marina right now. There's going to be public consultation. That's fantastic. And it will come back for council consideration. So we're not voting on anything today. We're just giving the developers an option to know, or the opportunity to know what we like about it and what we don't like about it. What are the cons? It's too tall. Everyone in the neighborhood's been writing us saying it's just too tall. So how do we fix that? Well, those little jiggity jags on the top of the roof, flatten it. Instead of having 2 levels of parking above ground, maybe have 1 level underground.
Counselor, with respect, we're not to get into the substance of the suggestions. We're talking about the procedure here.
The procedure is much better than it was before, and I hope that the developer will reach out to the councillors and hear about all of our concerns, because as it sits right now, I wouldn't approve it when it comes back. Number 10 is a housing agreement for market rental housing. We're going to get 156 low-end market rental units, and this is on Kitchison Court, and that's what we so desperately need. And I'm pleased to see that in Phase 3, which is what we're doing here, there's going to be 17 units, and 11 of them are 2-bedroom and 6 are 1-bedroom. And then the last one is we had a very interesting debate in Public Works and Transportation. People had come forward from Steveston and were very concerned about speeding, about people that has been mentioned being hit by cars. So we insisted that a stop sign be installed at the corner of Regent Street and 6th Avenue. That'll make it a 4-way stop, which will make it much safer. But that's just the beginning. Then staff will work with the neighbors. They'll send out surveys and information and find out what other traffic calming measures would be warranted and welcomed by the community. And thanks to staff for being speedy on this. We do want to make sure that the public knows we're trying to do things as quickly as possible. Thank you. That's it for me.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just I'll speak on that one item as well, the development on 2 Road, item number 9. And it's a question to staff. In the report on our page 112, page 5 of the report, under environmental sensitive area and riparian management areas, it mentions that the applicant has submitted an assessment as part of the subject application, and I don't believe it's in here. So maybe just clarify that staff have received it, and if that's something that can be forwarded to us in advance, because if there are further comments that the applicant might value in hearing, perhaps they can get those comments as early as possible.
Through the chair, in response to Councillor Wolf, yes, we have received initial reports from their qualified environmental professional. That includes an assessment of the existing biophysical inventory. And so our typical process is to review the materials, circulate the materials to applicable staff. If there are applicable external agencies that we need to engage with based on the works proposed, we undertake that. That's all undertaken as part of the comprehensive technical review that we've referenced in the report. When our review is complete and the application, the rezoning with the OCP amendment, is ready to be forwarded to council, there's summary materials that we include as part of that report that you'll be able to receive and review at that point. In terms of other materials to be provided in advance, we can certainly look at updating accordingly if there's some specific questions or information you would like.
Great, that's great. Thank you.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I wasn't going to speak, but I thought it very important that to talk about Touchstone and the RCMP and how we're doing it with restorative justice. I think one of the things that if we were sending a letter to the province, that we need to let the province know exactly what the program is, because I'm not so sure that they understand it. And to see that it is being used, it's been used in schools, it's been used out here. But more importantly, we're talking about people. We're talking about victims and offenders. You know, yes, we can save money, we can do this, we can do that, but the bottom line is what it does within the environment for those of us that have used it, working with people who have made mistakes in society's opinion. So I think when we send that letter, Your Worship, we let the province know of benefits to the society and to the individuals and the people, but more importantly, our success rate. The success rate of Touchstone, and we happen to be blessed by having an organization like Touchstone within the community that has the trained staff and provide training to do this kind of activity. not just anybody can step into it. So I think it's extremely important because it's an investment in people's lives on both sides of the fence. So I hope we will do that within the organization of what we're doing in terms of sending. On page 66, our organizational chart shows you the various summaries of what's happening. There's a tremendous investment in people to do it, so I hope we do it. The other question I have, where are we going to go once we have on the item in terms of the, I do support everything in terms of the endorsement at UBCM resolutions. Are we going to do anything else ourselves in terms of pushing that issue forward? I hope everybody at UBCM will support it. But where else are we going to go in terms of ALC compliance and enforcement? Through you to staff then.
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, staff have engaged at the staff level with the ALC as well, looking at what the potential end state of this proposed resolution is. In addition to that, at GP committee, staff are given a direction to explore how the program is working in terms of its efficacy in Ontario, the number of different software platforms and tracking systems that are available that meet the regulations and framework within Ontario, but also to see how it's doing in Quebec as well, to provide that sort of practical lived experience and see how we can advocate and model for a similar system in BC.
The other thing, if I may, Your Worship, to staff, will we be able to provide our speaker with metrics to show the impact on Richmond and how this will do it for ourselves?
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, certainly if we were to apply the system in Richmond, it would enable us to provide metrics and software tracking down to each haul, each truckload as well. What staff would be looking at is to see if the system in Ontario has enhanced enforcement efforts, has cut down on violations of their provincial statutes, and whether it's led to a more qualitative view of it improving the nature of soil management in that province. I think we would apply qualitative and quantitative measures in context of the City of Richmond as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, we'll call the question then on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. That brings us to the one non-consent agenda item, which was actually just, I believe I don't think there was any opposition when we heard it at a special general purposes committee meeting on Friday. And the motion is that the proposed strategic policy directions outlined in the staff report outline official community plan targeted update, proposed strategic policy directions be endorsed for consultation with residents and interested parties as part of the OCP targeted update. And secondly, the staff report back on the consultation results on the proposed strategic policy directions for the OCP targeted update. And I would so move.
Second.
So this pertains to the review that we are undertaking for our official community plan. It's a very comprehensive review that is happening. And just for general edification, the policy directions that were given at the outset, which still are appropriate, are that we look at the following target areas: housing affordability, equitable communities, climate mitigation and adaptation. Fourthly, environmental protection and enhancement. Fifthly, long-term planning for emerging trends and transformational technologies. And finally, administrative updates. So the idea is that we will be sending the proposals and the research out to the various stakeholders, the various community groups, all the residents and businesses can be involved as they wish. And we'll get the results of the consultation and it will be reported back to council. So with that, I'll call the question then on the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Brings us to public announcements and events. And I'm very pleased to say that our Chief Superintendent and the officer in charge of the RCMP, Dave Chohan, was recently presented with the Order of Merit of the Police Forces by the Right Honorable Mary Simon, our Governor General. And that was at a ceremony at Rideau Hall in Ottawa. And so on behalf of council, I want to extend our congratulations to Chief Superintendent Chauhan. It's the result of really great work over decades of experience with the RCMP. And of course, he's a very important reason why the RCMP does such good work in our city. Then from closed council this afternoon, we have the appointments to the Richmond Social Development Advisory Committee. These are appointments for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. From the Richmond Multicultural Services Society, Parm Graywall. From the Food Bank, Hajira Hussain. From the School District, Ravinder Joel. From the Turning Point Recovery Society, May Maliksi. From the Center for Disability, Nancy Pagani. From the Salvation Army, Prabhath Pule. From Richmond Addiction Services, Daniel Rabinius. From Connections Community Services Society, Daniel Suin. From Vancouver Coastal Health, Joanne Tate. The Chimo Community Services, Kim Tan. Richmond Family Place, Ruth Taverner. And finally, from the Richmond Public Library, Susan Walters. And Councillor Bill McNulty has been appointed to that committee as a non-voting member. Then we have National Accessibility Week, which is this week. This is an annual event. It builds awareness of the need for accessibility and to celebrate the contributions and leadership of persons with disabilities. So check out the city website for information on what's going on to promote and enhance accessibility, along with special events to mark the week. Then we have a community challenge. Richmond was named BC's most active community last year, and this time we're aiming to go one better and become Canada's most active community. The 2025 Community Challenge is coming here from June 1st to 30th, and residents, sporting groups, and others are encouraged to register and participate once again. A large number of free events and activities are planned throughout June, and you can find the details on the city website. Then from June 2nd to the 8th is BC Seniors Week, so you're invited to join the City of Richmond and community partners to celebrate BC Seniors Week with fun, free, and informative activities. The theme this year being active, engaged, and inspired. Again, if you want more details, go to the city website. And finally, we have the Island City by Bike. This is a free, family-friendly Island City by Bike tour. It takes place on Sunday, June 8th, beginning at 9:30. It'll depart from the South Arm Community Center. There's a 25-kilometer and a 10-kilometer ride through some of Richmond's on-street and off-street bike routes. Again, look to the city website for more details. And I was incorrect. There is one more item. Doors Open. This is a very special event. It's the 18th annual Doors Open Richmond. Takes place June 7th and 8th. Over 50 partner sites spanning art studios, historic sites, farms, religious organizations, and the RCMP will open their doors to provide a rare glimpse into their inner workings. Doors Open is one of the city's most popular events and highlights our cultural and business diversity. Access is free, and most sites are accessible on a walk-in basis. So again, go to the city website, richmondmuseum.ca/doors open. So, Madam Clerk, bylaws for adoption.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are 3 bylaws for final adoption with no opposition.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. And the development permit panel?
There's one motion for council, and it's as follows, that the minutes of the Development Permit Panel meeting held on April 30th, 2025 be received for information.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, any opposed, that's carried. May I have a motion to resolve in a committee of the whole to hear delegations on non-agenda items? All those in favor, any opposed, that is carried. And this evening, we have one speaker who's coming to us, I believe, virtually, Jerome Dickey, to speak on some item. Mr. Dickey. Is Mr. Dickey there? Yeah, we are seeing Mr. Dickey's name, but we don't see him and we don't hear him. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Dickey is joined in. May perhaps he's joining in right now, yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, please introduce yourself, and you've got 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. Jerome Dickey, 9280 Glen Allen Drive, Richmond. As I was started a couple weeks ago, before I was cut off, I want to thank Councillor Awe for years of service to Richmond, and congratulations on your election to Parliament. As I said, I trust you look forward to focusing fully on your federal priorities, and clearly you are, because you're not present in council chambers tonight. But today we need to talk about changing democracy and accountability, because both are at risk. In 2021, Councillor McPhail rightly said, we can't change democracy when the City Council considered holding a by-election. Yet here we are with an elected official choosing to remain in two public offices, drawing compensation from both, while admitting he cannot fulfill the responsibilities of his council role. This is what's commonly called double dipping. Even if a salary is donated to charity, the issue isn't just money, it's about duty, conflict of interest, and the erosion of public trust. This comes at a time when Richmond residents are already questioning the city's leadership. Just recently, we learned through the media that investigations have indicated that more than $290,000 in gift card purchases remain unaccounted for through the city's employee recognition program. A forensic audit has been initiated. The RCMP are involved. And taxpayers are left wondering, how did this happen under Council's watch? These are not just accounting errors. They reflect deep failures in financial oversight, internal controls, and governance. Exactly the areas where we expect a fully present and engaged Council to exercise vigilance. Let's be clear. When a high percentage of gift card transactions over a few years cannot be verified, when gift cards are distributed without logs, and when spending policies are so lax they go undetected, this is not a minor hiccup. This is a systemic governance failure. And who is ultimately responsible? In any municipal organization, the chief administrative officer, the CAO, is a top staff person charged with operational integrity. The CAO is accountable for implementing sound administrative systems, ensuring transparency, and safeguarding taxpayer funds. Council, in turn, is responsible for holding the CAO accountable. So where was the oversight? Where was the leadership? When councillors are only partly present or distracted by duties at another level of government, these are the consequences. Some have argued that a by-election is too expensive. But a by-election amounts to just 0.1% of the city's $600 million budget. Democracy is not a budget line item to be bargained away. And here's an analogy for you to give some context to this. If Richmond's budget were a 600-page document, think about that, 600 pages long, the cost of a by-election would be the equivalent of less than one paragraph. Think about that for a moment. More importantly, strong governance demands that residents get what they voted for, full representation. When Kelly Green was elected MLA, she stepped down. When Ernie Klassen was elected MP in White Rock just recently in the federal election, he stepped down. Why? because they understood that public service means making hard, ethical choices, not convenient ones. Choosing to double dip sets a concerning precedent and erodes public trust. While it may be legally permissible, the ethical implications are clear. Just because one can doesn't mean one should. Council must set the standard. The CAO must be held to account. And taxpayers deserve elected leaders who are fully committed to the job they were chosen to do, not a part-time substitute cloaked in legal loopholes. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
All right, thank you very much, sir. May I have a motion to rise and report? No, we're not having any questions to a virtual presentation. So, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried with Councillor Wolf opposed. We are now adjourned.